In an unexpected and unprecedented turn of events, private military forces under the banner of the Wagner Group, renowned mercenaries previously engaged by the Kremlin in the Ukrainian conflict, are reported to have penetrated Russian borders and advanced into their home territory. The audacious action aims to unseat Russia's defense minister in what is now viewed as the most significant challenge to President Vladimir Putin's reign since he assumed power in 2000. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the figurehead of the Wagner Group, has brazenly called for an armed rebellion, warning of an impending incursion into Moscow to depose the defense minister, accused of sanctioning airstrikes on the mercenary group's war camps within Ukraine. In retaliation, the Kremlin has called for Prigozhin's arrest on charges of mutiny. This past weekend, Prigozhin confirmed that his force of 25,000 soldiers had made a dramatic entry into Rostov-on-Don, a city that houses the Russian military command for the southern region overseeing operations in Ukraine, proximate to the earlier deployment of the Wagner Group. In an astonishing claim, Prigozhin stated that his forces had successfully gained control over the city's military installations, including the airfield. Videos circulating online corroborate these assertions, showing military tanks parading through the streets of Rostov-on-Don. He reported minimal resistance from the young conscripts stationed at various checkpoints, emphasizing that his forces are not fighting against children. Prigozhin made his intentions clear in one of his notable diatribes. He said, "Those who destroyed our lads, who obliterated the lives of tens of thousands of Russian soldiers, will face retribution. We ask for no resistance." He further promised to neutralize any resistance coming from checkpoints or air forces, adding that those standing in the way would be considered a threat and swiftly eliminated. In the face of these events, the Kremlin confirmed President Putin's awareness of the situation and affirmed that the necessary steps were being taken. In a brief national address on Saturday, Putin denounced the mercenaries' actions as a stab in the back, decrying any actions that sought to undermine Russia's unity. He characterized the events as a criminal adventuristic campaign, equating it to an armed mutiny, and reaffirmed Russia's right and intention to defend itself. The situation escalated further when tanks, allegedly from the Wagner Group, rolled into Rostov-on-Don, a city of 1.1 million inhabitants located approximately 1,000 miles from Moscow. Videos showed these tanks menacingly pointing their guns towards the Russian southern military headquarters. Footage of armed soldiers surrounding and entering the strategically crucial military building further intensified concerns. Adding to the gravity of the situation, Prigozhin released a video demanding a face-to-face meeting with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and General Valery Gerasimov, Russia's chief of the general staff, at the military headquarters in Rostov-on-Don. He went as far as threatening a march on Moscow if his call was not heeded. Earlier footage showed a significant mobilization of forces, with large trucks blocking highways leading to Rostov-on-Don, National Guard trucks converging outside the city, and tanks driving down city streets. The region's governor, Vasily Golubov, called on residents to stay calm and remain indoors, assuring that law enforcement authorities were working diligently to ensure their safety. In an escalation of accusations, Prigozhin alleged that Gerasimov had ordered warplanes to target Wagner's convoys, which were driving alongside civilian vehicles. He also claimed to have shot down a Russian military helicopter that fired on a civilian convoy, although this has not been independently verified. Tensions between Prigozhin and the defense minister have been simmering for some time, with Prigozhin accusing Shoigu of initiating the war under false pretenses and leading Russia into an unnecessary conflict. Now, Prigozhin has rallied his mercenaries to rise in armed rebellion against Shoigu, urging the army not to resist. Prigozhin's accusations were met with staunch denials from the Ministry of Defense in Moscow, and the National Anti-Terrorism Committee, part of the Federal Security Services, FSB, has opened a criminal investigation into him on charges of inciting an armed rebellion. Despite the counter-accusations and measures, Prigozhin remains defiant. He challenged the claims of a military coup, instead declaring it a march of justice. His actions, successful or not, have raised concerns that Putin may be forced to redirect military forces from Ukraine back home. As the situation unfolds, the FSB has called on Wagner soldiers to arrest Prigozhin on mutiny charges and refuse his criminal and treacherous orders. A strong reaction came from Russia's chief prosecutor, who justified the criminal investigation and noted that an armed rebellion charge carries a penalty of up to 20 years in prison. Meanwhile, Wagner's forces have been notably successful in the ongoing war in Ukraine, initiated by Russia 16 months ago. The forces, primarily composed of convicts recruited from Russian prisons, took the city of Bakhmut in the most significant advance made by Russia last year. Despite these victories, Prigozhin has been critical of Russia's military leadership, accusing them of incompetence and inadequately arming his troops. In a final, overt challenge, Prigozhin defied the Russian Defense Ministry's requirement that all military contractors sign contracts with it by July 1st. He hinted at a willingness to find a compromise but accused the ministry of betrayal. Citing an airstrike on his camps that resulted in significant losses, Prigozhin threatened that those responsible, including Defense Minister Shoigu, would be stopped. As the world watches these unprecedented events unfold, President Biden and the U.S. are said to be closely monitoring the situation and consulting with allies on the developments.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content in the future.